So we now have a pretty good thing. Let's rename him to 4x2 full brick. And rename the part studio to, just so everything matches, 4x2 full. Now, I'm doing the stupid thing. I only have that brick. I can make this brick and this brick without doing any actual work. Well, very minimal work. I don't need to measure anything. I don't need to do any CAD work. I can just use what I've already done to modify and make these. So we are going to go back here, and I'm going to duplicate this object. I'm going to rename this 3x2. I'm going to rename this guy also just because I always like those matching. So these are still the same. However, my base needs to be changed. So I'm going to jump into the base. And I'm going to change this from 4 to 3. Uh, and wait a moment for it to update. I don't know why my thing's running so slow. I should now change the master pip is fine, but I should make this instead of a 2x4, I should make this 2x3. And I should make the sound cylinders 2. Now it just sorted it for me because OnShape doesn't like the pattern going off the edge of the piece, but so with very minimal work, I'll be able to make the 2x3. And what's very powerful about this is that if I have to update my piece, so let's go back to my 2x4. Oh, of course, I've modified the wrong one. So I'm going to rename this 4x2. Let's say I go in and remeasure something, and I realize that my original Lego unit was off by a hair. If I jump in and change this value, so maybe this was actually, let's go use our other standard that we ended up with. So it's 0.63 divided by 2. 0.623 divided by 2. Now, it'll take a second, but our whole Lego should update. It's going to be a second. I'll pause the video while it's thinking. So it updated. It's hard to see, so I'm going to make it really change my Lego constant. So I'm going to change this Lego constant to be let's do 1 inch. What if Lego's default unit was 1 inch? Okay, I'll pause it while it's, oh. Now, the pips themselves didn't update because the pips are not based on the Lego constant per se. They're based on a fixed number. Same with the centers. But notice most of our Lego updated automatically. Let's change this back to or 1.254/4. And because we're using those constants, if we have to tune our Lego constant because say we print these, they don't behave themselves, it's very easy to modify those. So for your actual assignment, you're going to make 5 total bricks. And those bricks, you want to take and you have a variety of pieces. So you should be able to do some longer pieces. You should do some easy pieces. Now, these two are the same brick. So these would not count as 2 separate Lego bricks. They're a good place to start, but these 2 bricks are exactly the same brick because this guy and this guy can easily be made by just changing the pattern size. So that's an easy brick. This is sort of a little bit harder. Here's a harder brick, and this is actually a very difficult brick. I would call these are both medium to difficult bricks. The gears are very difficult, so those are sort of a challenge, but you want a variety of styles and kinds. And remember, don't pick 2 different lengths of the same piece because those are different pieces. Now, if flat paneling goes in both directions, that's really a different piece because there are some differences in how that's going to behave, probably. But if you can make the new piece without actually making new sketches, you're just changing the multipliers for the patterns and the initial size. That's not really a new brick. And I'm hoping that we can take and put all of these Legos together into a single project so we can have a virtual Lego set.